All right, hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Hey Guys Inventor Part 2. We're going to make another one of the PLTW recommended parts using Inventor. So I'm going to go to File, going to go to New, going to create New from a template. This time I'm selecting Metric, and I'm going to do a standard millimeter part file. Hit Create. All right, so I got a blank screen right here. I'm going to hit Start. I'm working from the front view. So when I'm working on the front view, I'd like to use a vertical plane. That would be my XY plane. If I was working from the ground up, I might choose the XZ plane instead. All right, I'm going to do a little subtracting on this. So I'm going to start with the rectangle to begin with. Give me a big basic shape that I'm going to subtract some stuff off of. I'm always going to start on the bottom right at the origin point. And when you just grab the generic rectangle tool, you're usually in a 2-point rectangle, which is the two opposite corners or the diagonal corners from each other. So if I click on one corner to be in the origin, as I drag it up at an angle, it gives me the opportunity to fill in those dimensions as I'm going, and I'll show you in just a second what the big benefit is with that. So I'm going to click in 60, and I'm going to tab over, and I'm going to click in 40. I'm going to click Enter. Now I can't see my drawing, but if I go to the front view on the view cube, I can see it then. And what I have here is a drawing that's already fully constrained. So if I let go of the rectangle tool, you'll see that it says right there at the bottom, fully constrained. It's got 2 dimensions, which is all a rectangle needs. It has perpendicular, it has vertical. If I show you all the constraints, it has equal, constraints for top and bottom. It has perpendicular constraints. It's fully constrained and ready to go. So I'm going to just go ahead and finish sketch. Click on the home button so I can see it a little bit better. Now, for some reason, lately Inventor has been messing with me on the home screen. So there we go. That's the way I want it to be. Now, when it does that for you, what you can do is you can kind of hover over the view cube. You can go back, you can right click and then slide down to see current view as home, fit to view, and hopefully we won't have that problem anymore. Perfect. All right, so I'm going to go to extrude. I'm going to pull that out. That needs to be at 30. So you can see that the distance is what's automatically selected, and it's got 10 millimeters. I don't need to delete that. I don't need to click in that. All I need to do is just type 30 and then hit enter. And now I have a nice big cube that's 30 centimeters wide. All right, now I need to make another drawing. I'm going to draw on the top surface this time. Just going to roll that around. I'm going to grab the rectangle tool. I'm going to make sure that I start my rectangle right on that line. And Inventor knows that I'm right on that line. And then I'm right on the next line so that I've already got a constraint on there. I've already got a dimension that this rectangle is 30 millimeters wide. Now I still need to add a couple more dimensions. So you can see that Inventor tells me, yes, in fact, you need a couple more dimensions. So I need to know how far this rectangle is away from one of the edges, either here or here, and I need to know how wide this rectangle is this way. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my dimension tool. I'm going to click on this line. I'm going to click on this line. I'm going to pull it up, pull it out where I can see it a little bit better. Highlight it, and that dimension should be 25 millimeters apart. All right, one more dimension. I'm going to go ahead and dimension up here. I'm going to go from that line down to that line and pull it straight out. Doesn't really matter where I put it. I just like to be a little bit neat about my dimensioning. Type in 10, let it go. All right, now there's a funny thing that Inventor does sometimes, and just to guard against it from happening, I'm going to tell you that while you're still in the sketch mode, now I've drawn a rectangle in here, and what I'm going to want to do is subtract that out. Sometimes Inventor has a hard time distinguishing a shape like this from the overall big shape because it projects up the geometry, and when it does that, Inventor likes to grab the biggest part and sometimes it's nearly impossible, or it is impossible, to grab the smaller part. So what I do is I break that shape that's up on that surface. So as I come down, you'll see that that line went from yellow to red. So I make sure that I'm not grabbing a line that might interfere with what I'm trying to work with. So that's why I'm grabbing this line. When it goes red, I right click. And now I'm just going to hit the delete key. Maybe I didn't quite get it. I'm going to grab it. There we go. I'm going to click on delete. All right, now I'm going to pull down my center wheel on my 3-button mouse so I can pan up. I'm going to do the same thing on this line. I'm going to get on it, right click, and then hit delete. All right, so now I can finish sketch. And when I go to extrude, this is the only enclosed shape left, is this one in the middle. Now, in the previous video, we did everything as an extrusion where we pulled everything out, what we might call an additive method. This time I'm going to show you a new thing over here. So if I come over here, the second one down is cut. I'm going to make a cut. Now, distance is actually what I want for this one, but I don't want a distance of 30. So I'm going to highlight that 30 and I'm going to change that to 15. Click enter. And that looks pretty good. All right, so I got one more thing to do. I have one more thing to do, and that's to do a sketch on here. I need to make another cut. I need to make a rectangular cut. I'm going to put that cut about, I'm going to start that rectangle about right here, pull it out, and this rectangle needs to be 15 by 10 tall. All right, so my rectangle is fully constrained. What I still need 2 more dimensions. I need to place that rectangle. All right, so grabbing the dimension tool, I'm going to dimension from this line over to this line and pull it down so I can see it a little bit better. And that's only going to be 3 millimeters away. All right, and now I'm going to dimension from the bottom line to this bottom line. Slide that out, and that should be 5. Hit enter. Now I'm fully constrained. I go to finish sketch, and I'm going to go to extrude. Now, like I said, can't always explain why, but this time, maybe because this wasn't touching that edge, it's hard to explain why sometimes these softwares do what they do, but I'm going to click on that. You see that it extruded it. I want to cut this time, but instead of a distance, what I want to do is I want to have this hole go all the way through the part. So I could, because I know that the distance is 60 millimeters, I could just do a distance of 60 millimeters, but the problem with that would be if I ever needed to come back and maybe this part was a little bit too small and I needed to edit that sketch and make it longer, well then that hole would only go 60 millimeters. Instead, if I go to all, it will cut it all the way through no matter what. So I'm going to go ahead and click all. That's going to make that hole go all the way through. And you can see now, if you move around, look in from the end, you can see that that goes all the way through. All right, guys, I hope you've enjoyed this latest edition of Hey Guys, and hope you're learning something in this.